MMA Rants and Raves, Mariusz Pudzianowski vs. Fedor Emelianenko. You know what, guys? I'm doing this because I'm hearing a lot of news about this guy, and for some reason he's being compared, and they want him to fight against Fedor. Now, he must be really good if they want him to fight against the best heavyweight in the world. So I'm hearing all this news about him, and I don't have a clue as to who this guy is, so I did the logical thing. I did some research, and I found out that he's the world's strongest man. And that's great. He's from Poland. He's got all this Polish pride, and that's wonderful. That's great. If I had the world's strongest man in my country, I would also be very proud. But what's the world's strongest man have to do with MMA? These are two different sports. I mean, if a guy is very good in wrestling, it doesn't mean that doesn't necessarily mean he'd be a good basketball player. So I did some more research, and I found out he had his MMA debut. And he had his debut only last month in December. And he fought a guy in some Polish MMA organization. I don't even know what his name is. Something like marjuŝę Najman, something like that. And he destroyed this guy. He literally destroyed him in 43 seconds. Very impressive. I actually saw the fight, and there was no contest there. There was no competition. So I did some more research, and you know what I found out? The guy he fought is not an MMA fighter. His record before he entered that ring where they were fighting was 0-0. The guy never fought anybody. So what does that tell you? They basically took a piece of raw meat, threw it in the ring, and let the guy attack it. I mean, 43 seconds, if they threw Pee Wee Herman in there, he may have lasted a minute, because he would just run away from the guy and wouldn't be able to catch him. I mean, look, I think it will be great. No disrespect to this guy. I think it will be great to have the world's strongest man in MMA. It's great for the sport. It will be interesting to see. But he's got to fight someone at least with some MMA history, with some MMA background, who knows MMA. This guy was not an MMA fighter. Even if the guy is a terrible MMA fighter, let's say he's the worst in the world, at least he has experience, and he's been in the ring before. This guy hasn't. So I don't understand what they mean by MMA debut. But you know what? Let's analyze it. Put the world's strongest man against the greatest fighter in the world, and put them in the ring together. You know what's going to happen? First of all, this guy, he's picking up cars and walking with them, and maybe he can lift a house. He's ripping trees out of their roots, or he's ripping phone books in half. I mean, that's what all these strongest men do. But it's a sport, and there's talent to it. I noticed that they have to go back and forth and run with these heavy things. They have a clock that's going against them, and they have to beat this clock. And there's pressure, and there's a lot of a test of their endurance and their stamina, and of course their cardio. So, I respect this guy. He's a 5-year strongest man title winner, and you got me. He's the world's strongest man. But how strong is his chin? You can have a guy, he can lift a house, but if he gets hit with a sledgehammer punch, which is what Fedor is known to do, it's going to be lights out. He might not even be able to take a punch from an ordinary MMA fighter or a lower level fighter. I mean, he hasn't been tested yet. So, it's two different sports. What about his jiu-jitsu? I mean, I don't understand. My question is, why am I seeing that this guy is being, that they want this guy to fight Fedor? It's a versus Fedor. Why not just an MMA fighter? Why can't he just fight somebody so we can see his talents and what he does in the ring? And then we can move up the ladder and eventually get to Mount Everest. Let's do it the other way around. Fedor is going to enter some strongman contest. How well will he do against this guy? Probably not very well. So, let's see this guy fight some talent, and then we can make a decision of how good he would be against higher caliber MMA fighters. I mean, that's what I have to say about this. And I don't know much about this guy. It's just the research that I've done. Maybe you guys can tell me more about this guy. Maybe he's fought some other guys, or you see something in this guy that he has some kind of potential. So please let me know, leave those comments. Please subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.